Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Chronicles of Mr. and Mr. Pierre. And I wanted to talk today about something that hits close to home for many of us in education. It's this tension between standardized testing and holistic education. I've been taught in schools, public schools, Title I schools, charter schools, private independent schools. I've taught in all these different settings, and I know where test scores have been everything, that the stress is real, and that when test scores are everything at these particular schools, students and teachers alike, I felt like I was under a microscope, that I had to get this particular score for me to be validated as, hey, I'm a teacher, I'm teaching well. And if that wasn't happening, then somehow my aptitude or my abilities as a teacher just wasn't on par. And I know for kids, because they would tell me, like, Mr. Pierre, I'm not a test score, that I don't test well, or I don't do well for these tests. It's too much anxiety, and consequently, some of them just wouldn't give it their all to be able to demonstrate what they really knew. And for me as a teacher, and I'm sure for many educators where it's all about the test score, that's just not the bee's knees. It doesn't feel great. And so that's one. But then on the other end, I've taught at schools that claim to embrace holistic education, where on the surface, this may sound great, and the idea of educating to the whole child, yes, sounds fantastic, that you're focusing on the emotional, the social, and the intellectual growth. And as a teacher, that sounds rad. That sounds magnificent. However, the particular school I was at, it lacked guidance on what that actually meant, what that actually looked like. And so for me, as well as some other teachers who were new to this, teach to the whole child type of mantra, um, we were left to sort of figure out for ourselves. And so the consistency of what it looked like in my class versus what it looked like in others was totally different. And so with that, with these sort of like two chains of thought, this sort of dichotomy, how do you navigate these two, what seems like opposing ways of teaching? Well, number one, I think it's important that we recognize, and I say right off the bat, that I'm neither for either one of those two extremes. That I think there needs to be something in the middle, where you're able to assess what a kiddo has learned, but you're also not only looking at sort of a test score. That you're able to keep it balanced, because a singular focus on standardized tests, whether that be NWA, STAR, SBACS, whatever the string of letters are for that assessment, it's going to stifle creativity, and it's going to create unnecessary stress for both the teachers as well as the kiddos. And so because of that, I also think at the other end of the spectrum is that you can't have a poorly defined holistic approach, which will lead to inconsistency, which will lead to confusion, which will lead to teachers like, how do I assess if I'm doing this correctly? How do I assess if my kiddos are truly understanding what it is that the standard is, and are they meeting it, and are they mastering it? And so we need sort of like a balance. And that means for me that there's clear, achievable goals that encompass a wide range of skills and competencies. It means providing teachers with the necessary training and the necessary resources that they will need to then implement this holistic practice effectively. Because if that's not clearly defined, that, hey, this is what holistic means, this is how we're truly taking care of the whole child, then what you're left with is a bunch of teachers doing willy-nilly whatever. And if admin isn't clear about that, then how are you able to truly assess whether or not the kiddos are getting what they need? And so I think as educators, we need to be able to advocate for a difference in policies, that we need to be able to advocate and have our admin listen to, hey, it doesn't always have to be a multiple choice A, B, C, D. There are different ways that you can assess. You can truly see whether or not a kiddo has met the standard. It could be project-based. And project-based learning, I know, is also something that's been talked about a lot. And that just means you, as the educator, are able to assess, did this kiddo meet the standard? And sometimes that's going to be them creating a video where they're explaining or they're teaching. That could also look like yeah, they've created a little video. I know for me, I've done in the past where kiddos have been able to create sort of like these TikTok videos that, hey, 3 minutes or less, explain the standard, have an example, where are the misconceptions, where are kiddos going to make errors, what were the errors that you were having before, and how did you fix them, or how did you know that you made an error? And if a student's able to do that, they've demonstrated that they've learned and that they've met the standard. And if you, as an educator, are about that life, then that's a great way for you to be able to another way, another tool, another manner that you could sort of assess if this kiddo has met the standard. So, in closing, I think it's important to remember that education is not a one size fit all. We need to have this sort of balance. Our kiddos are unique, and we should be able to give them a multitude of different ways to demonstrate their understanding of whatever the standard is. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Chronicles of Mr. I'm Mr. Pierre. I appreciate you being on this journey with me. The Chronicles continue, and I'm out.